All right, welcome to the second episode of the Buick project. Where we left you off was we got it running, but the tire popped off. So I took the PSI of the tires and apparently they only had 10 PSI. So I guess that's why it popped off. So we're going to raise the PSI on 20 to 25, and then we're going to see if we can't get that one back on the bead. But some of the comments though were pretty helpful. One guy said that I need to have newer gas. So I got about 4.5 gallons of 91. And then another guy was talking about a lot of carbon buildup was why it was dieseling. And I looked on my shelf and I do have some seafoam, so we're gonna put that in there today. Really appreciate all you guys watching. I was really surprised that so many of you actually tuned into the last video, because you get kind of worried that you're getting locked into one niche on YouTube, but so many of you showed up, like you're 3x the viewers of like the trailer videos. Even though I spent like 12 hours building a toilet paper dispenser, none of you seem to care. Is I spent a lot of time making this automatic loading toilet paper dispenser. Check this out. Look at that. How cool that is. So, but now you're into this. So let me show you guys what I got in the trunk. So here's all the parts that are in the trunk. This is a Flexolite fan, which I got to wire up and came with a bunch of brackets, stuff like that. So we're going to pair that with this 3-core Champion aluminum radiator. So that should be overkill for this engine. Got a clear distributor cap. You know, I don't know if it's like the 80s, 90s kid in me that just likes to see clear stuff and a bunch of sparkies. All right, so then I also have another intake manifold for a Nailhead. So this is a 4-barrel intake manifold. I don't know that it'll work on ours, but maybe. It also came with a 4-barrel carburetor, which needs everything. Got some tools to fix the window regulator. Maybe we'll do that today. And then this is the bearing and the support for the drive shaft. So I already have all the parts for that. So this will be maybe even in next week's episode, depending on how today goes. I also have a new side mirror. It's a reproduction, but it's got the Buick logo and it looks like it's a very nice one, because the side one is kind of missing, or Bluetooth there. But yeah, so we're gonna jump into everything because that's really heavy. If we can't get that front tire to go up, we actually have a spare down here. But so yeah, I'm gonna try to get the new radiator in, maybe the window regulator in, and just get everything all nice and tidied up so that we can drive this a little bit more. But let's start with the tires. All right, so all the other tires held air, and they were all at like 10. I think that other front one over there was only at like 8 or 9 PSI, according to my gauge. So I took them all up to 30. They say max tire pressure of 32, so I just took them up to 30. And now for this one, you can't just send air in, because I can feel the end of the valve stem right here. So that's just not going to work. So what we need to do is we need to jack it up, and then hopefully this tire is going to want to kind of get back on here. And then as we slowly start adding pressure, hopefully it pops back on the rim. And if it doesn't, then we're just going to change it out with the spare that's in the trunk. The frame is like way back in there. Like way, way, way back in there. I think this has what's called the X frame. So right about where I'm trying to jack it up is pretty narrow. And then this is just the body. You really don't ever want to jack up from the body. That would be a bad day. I'm not sure how far I can get the jack in there, only that far. I don't know that is far enough, but I'll look. Nope, that is not nearly far enough. All right, well, I don't really have a choice. I'm just going to jack it up from the front. All right, she's off the ground. Well, it doesn't look like I cut the tire in half. Ow. But it's not wanting to just easily sit back on the on the tire, or the rim's not wanting to sit back on there. I'm wondering if I pop this side out right here. Yeah, so I put a groove right there, but I'm wondering if I pop this side back out, is it gonna want to sit down kind of like how this is sitting down right here? So I'm gonna get a pry bar and a hammer, but it's still jacked up, so I gotta be careful that I don't just knock it off the jack. All right, so. Now I don't have one of those big air blasting cannon things, so we're just gonna, yeah, I don't think a lot of things are gonna work, so I'm gonna need to get this just unfolded from itself. All right, so we resorted to a heat gun. This is my wife's idea. It actually seems like it's kind of coming out a little bit. Now, I was never like fully convinced I liked these white walls. Kind of like more rims, spokes, something like that, but these are pretty classic, so that's kind of nice. It does kind of feel like the heat's relaxing it. So everywhere where it's kind of has the sharpest creases and stuff like that, I'm just applying heat, and it does seem like it's relaxing without much prying. So definitely you can use a heat gun. But whether we're going to be able to get this thing to seal up is quite the other story, though. So once we get it sealed up, all this will just figure itself out. Well, at least hopefully it will. All right, so we got the compressor running. Obviously a bunch of leaks. I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to leave this on and then so we either don't have enough pressure or the hole is just too big. All right, so we're not kicking off enough volume of air. Now they have these big blasters. The parking lot method is to use some starting fluid. So we're gonna see if that works. You know, perfect time to do it when you had a gas leak last week. So I'm just gonna use a little bit. We're gonna see how bad this goes. Well, that didn't work. All right, so this time I sprayed it inside the bead. If nothing else, it's warming up the air inside the tire. Yeah, the tire is nice and pliable now, so if you don't have a heat gun, this is definitely another method. I just don't feel like this is as explosive enough, if that makes any sense. Well, we had it, but then I lost it. The problem is I backed up and it undid this. I think even this was scared. All right. All right, she's on. There you go, kids. Oh, we're way over pressure now. So we're gonna need to relieve some pressure. Oh, everybody back up. That thing's, all right, so the tire's a little bit full. It's quite a bit deformed too. So I'm gonna try to relieve some pressure. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. Yeah, it's a little anticlimactic here. So the tires are designed to hold 30. The gauge was reading more than double that when we all backed up. I do think it's looking a little bit better. It's not looking quite so like a basketball. All right, now that the tire's not on fire anymore, Gonna try to drop it. Take my safety jack out. All right, let's see if that tire is gonna hold the weight of the whole car. Hey, that's a good sign. Hey, look at that. That looks way better. All right, so we're gonna put in some gas now. I think I'm running out of time today, so I think I'm gonna do the radiator in the morning. As long as it's not raining too bad. We've been going through some kind of crazy storm here. I've also wanted to paint all the brackets that we're gonna hold on the radiator, but I think I'm gonna have to come back to that. It's just not a good time to paint with how much moisture is in the air. Y'all be happy to know that this gas is way clearer. All right, so I found an old can of seafoam on the shelf. Stuff doesn't go bad, right? I mean, it's a stabilizer, I would imagine not. Oh, it's actually brand new. Look at that. I don't know how long I've had this. It smells funky. So I'm just gonna put a bit in here. And then I'm going to, as we're, maybe a little bit more, as we're, get the car running and warm, I'm gonna start maybe a couple splashes down the intake. But all right, let's get it started. All right, so I'm gonna see if it starts without having to splash anything in. Doesn't seem like it. So we'll give her a couple spritz of the good old reliable gas. See how that does. I really hope we didn't lose spark, because that's going to be not ideal. I'm gonna have to ramp up the charger here. We'll go for full 200 ponies there. Well, that was it. Just needed a bigger kick in the butt, I guess. Take these guys off. Wow, they're hot. All right, so that's with the new gas. It's running a little bit rough. Let's, I'm gonna give it a minute to warm up. All right, so I just can't help myself. I think we'll try this again. See if I can't back it out of here without popping the tire. You know, surprisingly enough, with all the tires inflated, it actually feels a little better. That's kind of weird. Well, what a difference a week makes. Look at this. It is actually propelling itself. Oh, I can hear the thump. I don't know if you guys can hear the thump, but I can hear the thump of the center support bearing. It's definitely not a good thump. So I think that is definitely 100% on the list for not tomorrow, but next week. What if you guys can hear that? It's like a loud boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I can definitely hear the thumping as we're going. So that means we're gonna have to pull out the whole drive shaft, which is gonna be a fun project. All right, well, we've improved from last week. She's consistently running, so new gas and a little bit of seafoam is helping with that. And I think we just need to fix the radiator now, and then it's just gonna keep eventually getting better and better, but definitely, luckily this week we were able to take it for at least a spin around the street, and that center support bearing is definitely toast. So it makes no sense to keep trying to drive it and possibly destroying that, but the whole car's got to get jacked up. It's got to be pulled out. It's going to be easy and hard at the same time. So I guess let's see if it still has the dieseling. Let's see. Oh, just a little bit. Let's see if it starts back up. Nope, it's the battery. Oh well. But all right, let's get on to the radiator. Well, that storm moved in quick, and I don't think we're going to be able to get to the radiator in this video due to the fact that I need to release the video today. So that'll have to be next week, but we really appreciate you guys watching. But the car is back on 4 tires, not 3. So that's pretty cool. We very much appreciate you guys liking the videos, subscribing to the channel, and leaving any comments down below. We're pretty close to our goal of 1,000 subscribers, so we'd really appreciate your help in that. Thanks for watching.